Hello everybody. Welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing great. Hope that everyone out there is doing absolutely fantastic and that you're all having a wonderful day. Don't forget to leave a like on the video. It's a free and easy way to support the channel. As always, a very big thank you to everyone out there who supports the channel in their own way. Without any further ado, let's jump right into it. There's a lot to cover. As always, a lot keeps happening every single day within the cryptocurrency space. I'm seeing a lot more discussion about current events on Twitter the last 2 to 3 weeks, where people are beginning to kind of discuss like what's going on, what's happening within this market. A little bit of news I missed. This was, of course, incredibly popular. I did not have it in a video. I was posting about it online and then completely forgot about it. The SEC has approved Grayscale's conversion of its large cap crypto fund into a spot ETF. Yes, so a bit of a weird moment when this happened. The reason why I believe it happened is because if you missed a couple of years ago, Grayscale was continuously trying to get a cryptocurrency ETF approved. Gary Gensler kept on rejecting them. And then subsequently, Grayscale announced that if they had one more rejection, they were going to sue the SEC. They applied one more time. They got rejected one more time. They sued the SEC, and they actually won the lawsuit. It's believed that Grayscale is the reason why we actually have cryptocurrency ETFs within the United States. So I believe on the list of companies, as we were talking about July being a very pivotal month, if you don't remember that, that's what I said. Basically around March or April, we got news that in July, we would begin to see either the yeses or the nos for ETF applications within the United States. Grayscale decided to shift one of their funds into an ETF, and it just happened to be the one that also has altcoins in it as well. If you weren't on the interwebs when this happened, prices actually fell by 5, 6, 7% immediately after. And this is why a lot of people have been in the last few weeks discussing, why is this happening? What's going on? Why are we constantly getting so much good news as far as adoption, purchasing ETFs? There are also another handful of altcoin ETFs that are expected to be approved in the very near future. Yeah, the ETF will include Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, and Cardano. Expanding regulated crypto products for U.S. investors. This is officially, besides the futures that we got, this is officially the first XRP ETF. This is the first Solana ETF, and this is the first Cardano ETF within the United States. I have to constantly check myself all the time. I imagine a world where when we get good news that it actually does something to the prices positively of these coins, but no, yeah, I think a lot of people, and I can only assume, these are my assumptions based off of the news that we've been getting. I assume that people are waiting for a specific XRP only ETF to be approved. I assume people are waiting for Solana only ETF to be approved. And I assume people are only waiting for only ADA is the only coin within this ETF that is approved kind of news because yeah, it continues to be very weird in this market, watching the movement or sometimes lack thereof after we actually end up getting good news. It says the US SEC has approved the listing and trading of the Grayscale Digital Large Cap Fund, GDLC, as a spot exchange ETF on the New York Stock Exchange ARCA, according to a newly published order granting approval. Yeah, so this is a bit of news I missed. It is incredibly important as far as everyone seems obsessed with the idea of institutions coming in and swooping us off of our feet and saving us and raising prices, and the institutions are here. We have news that they're buying all the time and they're accumulating all the time, and I might be alone, but still waiting for this to properly reflect in the actual market. So over the course of this month, I believe there's around like 5 to 10 other ETFs that could also be approved. Fingers crossed. Let's see what happens. And also, if they do get approved, let's see if the price even ends up moving. That's the SEC has approved a crypto ETF with 5 coins inside of it. And yeah, let's move on. Also in, well, this is now everyday kind of news. Japanese company Metaplanet has issued 54 million shares. I'm sure you can guess why. To expand its Bitcoin holdings further. It says companies are doubling down on their Bitcoin strategies. Metaplanet, a Japanese budget hotel firm. That's crazy. A budget hotel company turned into a Bitcoin fund, issued 54 million new shares to expand their Bitcoin holdings. The new shares, issued with the help of institutional investor Evo Fund, are worth $500 million US. The significant rise makes this the largest single-day equity-based Bitcoin treasury event to date, I assume, for this company. The move is part of a strategy to make Metaplanet one of the largest corporate Bitcoin holders. Currently, Metaplanet has 11,111 Bitcoin, which we went over about 3 or 4 days ago. Their purchases and their numbers, I don't know why they're doing them, but they keep lining up with other things. They'll purchase 123 Bitcoin, 456 Bitcoin, 888 Bitcoin. They purchased just enough previously to get to 11111 BTC. Fantastic. Worth around $1 billion US, already placing it among the top 10 corporate Bitcoin holders in the world. In line with this strategy, Metaplanet has released aggressive targets for Bitcoin accumulation in the coming years. Their original plan was to accumulate 1,000 Bitcoin. That rose to 10,000 Bitcoin by the end of this year. Their current targets are 30,000 Bitcoin by the end of 2025, 100,000 Bitcoin by the end of 2026, and they recently announced they are going to be raising $5.4 billion US as they want to accumulate 210,000 Bitcoin by the end of 2027. There was recently a discussion, and it's still going on because I'm glad that other people are like, what's happening? There was recently a discussion by 2 or 3 different Bitcoin analysts, and also Tom Lee recently went on to CNBC as well. People were asking, and even the hosts were like, hey, we're getting news every single day that all these companies are buying huge amounts of Bitcoin. Why isn't Bitcoin's price over 300,000? Why isn't Bitcoin above $500,000 like all the analysts were saying? And the current answer that we've been given, for those of you who do not know, is that apparently older wallets are currently selling. So there's a theory that wallets from 2009, 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14 are potentially selling off their Bitcoin. And that may actually be true, but the problem is that the amount of buying pressure that we have doesn't constitute an actual equilibrium. So one would assume if there are sellers, more sellers than buyers, the price will go down. If there are more buyers than sellers, then of course the price would go up. But the fact that prices trended sideways for a good 3.5, 4 months only equates to manipulation. So there are a lot of people asking companies to prove how much Bitcoin they have now. It's really cool to write on a screen, you know, 11111111 Bitcoin. But a lot of companies are now being asked to prove it and show exactly what wallet addresses they have, or if they are using a custodian such as Coinbase to prove that Coinbase is actually holding on to those coins. Because as far as we've been getting now, Metaplanet could, in 8.5 weeks, announce, hey, we got 210,000 Bitcoin. But also, it doesn't make a lot of sense because all the accumulation that we've been seeing has not really... Anyway, cool. Wow. Metaplanet is in the news once again. It is almost a daily for this company at this point, as they continue to buy up huge swaths of Bitcoin over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And don't be afraid, because they're not the only ones, because all the other companies are doing the exact same thing roughly once or twice a week. That's the Metaplanet is trying to get 210,000 Bitcoin within, is that 18 months? And they currently have 11,000 Bitcoin. And yeah, let's move on. Pretty sure you can't see where this news is going, because other things just wouldn't make any kind of sense, right? A company by the name of H100 Group, a publicly traded Swedish firm, has expanded their crypto portfolio by acquiring an additional 19.38 Bitcoin, as confirmed by a recent disclosure. Yeah, so the other problem that we constantly have now is that these companies who announced a month ago, a month and a half ago, they're doing what they said that they were going to do, and they're buying up more Bitcoin. This strategic accumulation, it says, brings the company's total reserves to 200.21 BTC, underscoring their commitment to digital asset investment. I wouldn't go that far. A lot of these articles feel like they're written by aliens or something like that, as no one actually talks like that. Yeah. Michael Saylor was recently also on the news discussing and talking about how amazing it is that all these companies are buying up huge amounts of Bitcoin. I assume he patted himself on the back, as it is, you know, he stated before it was because of his conversations with these companies, and now they're buying. So as we continue to get news about buying pressure constantly happening within this market, inquiring minds are still inquiring as to the of everything that's actually happening. That's the H100 Group. Currently has 200 Bitcoin under their belt. And yeah, let's move on. Also in the news, a company called SharpLink, the NASDAQ-listed SharpLink Gaming, is apparently doubling down on their Ethereum treasury with yet another major purchase. SharpLink Gaming has announced the addition of another 12,207 Ether to their growing Ethereum holdings, spending approximately $30 million at an average price of $2,500 per token. The purchase follows a much larger buy just over a week earlier when the firm acquired, geez Louise, 176,000 Ether for approximately 463 million US dollars. Yes, if you somehow missed some of the other videos, this news isn't as prevalent and daily as other news are. There are, I think, three companies who are currently accumulating Ethereum. There are 8 companies who are accumulating XRP. And I believe we still have 1 company accumulating Solana and 1 company accumulating Dogecoin, but we haven't heard anything from the Solana company nor the Dogecoin collecting company. It's been a couple of months at this point. Yes, their purchases are also quite large as well. You cannot purchase $500 million worth of something and say that it's not a gigantic purchase. There we go. We're also getting a lot of rumors that there are going to be more companies doing the exact same. I think that's not really a question mark. It's more of a given at this point that we are going to see more companies enter the crypto space. And I know this just because we've been hearing this every single day for the last about 4 months at this point. With the latest purchase, SharpLink's total ETH holdings now stand at 188,478 Ether, making it the largest publicly traded Ethereum holder in the world and the second largest holder globally. Wait. Okay, I get it. Like, one is public. Okay, cool. Awesome. Fantastic. Amazing. SharpLink chairman, Joseph Lubin. Joseph Lubin is one of the co-creators of Ethereum, emphasized the firm's commitment to growing its ETH treasury, stating that it is part of its approach to creating long-term value. I wonder why, and I mean this in a totally honest way, I wonder why they did it this way. As far as, why is a company having to do this when the people from Ethereum could have simply purchased another $500 million worth of ETH themselves? Is it to give the illusion of decentralization or to make it seem like another? You understand what I mean? A lot of times we keep hearing rich person in the crypto space is creating a new company or is merging a company. We've heard these a lot the last month or two. And that company that they created or that they merged is going to be buying up Bitcoin or said asset. And it's like, well, why don't you just buy it yourself? I assume it has to do something with taxes, but a lot of the times it feels like rich people are kind of just creating entities or companies and then accumulating the thing that they were already going to create. I think it's meant to give some kind of a look of, look how many other people are buying. But if you're the chairman of this company that's buying and you're the co-creator of Ethereum, we can also assume that you're also buying and you also have a huge stash of Ether. It kind of is redundant in a sort of way. But I mean, what was the number again? Yeah, 95%. Rich people own 95% of all the Bitcoin. We also had the number before for Ether as well. I don't remember what it is, but it's an incredibly high number. So, cool. These companies keep popping up, as they always have and will continue to do. And they're buying huge amounts of crypto. And they're still, you know, I admire the dedication. There's a lot of analysts on Twitter who are copying and pasting the projections they had from February all over Twitter again. So cool. That's the SharpLink Gaming. What an interesting name. Has purchased $500 million worth of Ether. And yeah, let's move on. Also in super popular news, A billionaire by the name of Philippe Lafont, creator of Coatue, management, has apparently included Bitcoin in his list of the Fantastic 40. It's a hand-picked list of what he considers the top investment opportunities for the next 5 years. I don't have it in this video, but there was something recently as well with the people from BlackRock. I want to say Larry Fink. It doesn't even matter. BlackRock recently released something where apparently they were multiple companies, and they were telling other companies and other institutions to have, an extremely high allocation of their portfolio just into crypto. So this keeps happening every couple of hours, and I'm questioning reality at this point. Lafont projects Bitcoin's market cap could surpass 5 trillion US dollars by the year 2030. That is officially 4.5 years away. We have gotten a very large amount of price predictions after the next halving, where a lot of people are convinced that we are going to a $500,000, a $1 million, or I think Kathy Woods's was it 2.4 million by the time we get to 2030. Driven by, he says, reduced volatility. Lafont says he regrets waiting. Oh, that's so sad. He's a billionaire. He could have been richer, guys. Oh, I feel bad for him. Calling Bitcoin a missed opportunity he now takes seriously. Well, that's so sad. That happens all the time. No matter what is happening in the world, there's always something like that. And I think for me, the cringiest part is having rich people constantly. Have you ever watched, any documentary about money or anything like that at some point, or even a news publication? They'll always have a thing where they're talking about money or wealth. And they're talking about, yeah, that guy made a really good, he invested in that company before anyone. He's a genius. And they sit there and they go, I wish I had done the same. But on the screen, it flashes that this person is worth $800 million. And I'm like, oh my gosh, life is so hard for you. I hope that you actually end up doing better in life, because, $800 million, how are you going to sleep at night? You're not even a billionaire yet. That's so sad. So years ago, I guess some of them were telling the truth. Years ago, we had a lot of billionaires who were quite mean, rude, and abrasive to the cryptocurrency space and Bitcoin space. And now, they wish they could, buy more. It's almost like, $1 billion won't do anything for buying Bitcoin, right? That's such a small amount of money. You know that there are people who will never own 0.01 Bitcoin. I feel like if you're a billionaire, I feel like you can at least buy 10 Bitcoin a day, like a minimum. I feel like your passive income or whatever you're doing with your life, you're at least getting an extra million per day that you can't figure out how to spend. And that you'll be just fine. The hedge fund billionaire ranked Bitcoin alongside Microsoft, Nvidia, Amazon, and Meta, notably excluding Apple and Google from his top 5. Oh, how sad. Speaking with CNBC, Lafont admitted to having long overlooked Bitcoin. I feel so bad for him. Despite its continued price strength, he said, and I do quote, oh gosh, he said, I wake up every day at 3 in the morning and I'm like, why am I such an idiot? What have I been waiting for? Not being involved in it. End quote, he said. Requote, sometimes you have to change your mind and say, I made a mistake. End quote again. I feel so bad for him. Like, how is he going to live through life knowing that he only has, like, I assume several billion in his bank account and through his assets? Oh, also, that's a lie. I don't know if you've ever seen other influencers saying things like that. Do you know how many people tell you that they wake up at 3 in the morning and they don't actually wake up at 3 in the morning, or tell you that they wake up at 5 in the morning and go for a run and they don't actually wake up at 5? Like, if you actually watch podcasts or sometimes with people talking to them candidly, they do it just to make it seem like it's like the ultimate goal thing. Go to bed at 9, wake up at 3, go on an hour-long run. It's all just to get people to click. The problem is that it does actually work. This was, despite my logic, one of the most popular news stories also that we've gotten in a while. I mean, all the words are there. It's Bitcoin, top 5, billionaire, regret. It kind of creates this like light FOMO in the air for a lot of people. The only people who should be feeling FOMO are like normal people, like everyday normal people who would benefit from Bitcoin's price going to $1 million plus. The news that we keep getting, as if we're supposed to feel sorry for these people, that they don't have enough Bitcoin. And I mean, let's be completely honest here. I assume this man did not go onto the news to talk about that Bitcoin was in his top list because he doesn't own any Bitcoin. I would logically assume this man probably has several hundred, several thousand Bitcoin. But a lot of the regret comes from the fact that he doesn't have hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin, as if that's somehow diminishing his wealth or whatever the case might be in some sort of way. So as we continue on this train of very wealthy people buying up all the Bitcoin, normal people not paying attention, billionaires feeling bad for themselves. Oh, also other side note, because a lot of people fall for this propaganda. You know, a lot of times, if not all the times, you'll hear about like, hey, this 28-year-old just sold his company for $5 billion. And they'll show you like a story of how, you know, he grew up from humble beginnings, and they'll show him and his parents at the beach and stuff like that. If you look into these people, they were all born rich. And I say from the angle of his family had like $12 million. He's a billionaire now, but that's because he had a gigantic leg up. These people aren't doing it themselves, same as your father having a diamond mine, your mother having a very posh accent, irrespective of how much she says that she struggled on TV or anything else like that. Same exact thing with creating Microsoft in a, what did they say? Was it a garage or something like that? Same exact thing with creating Amazon. No, these people had funding behind the scenes because they came from wealth, but it makes a lot of, it makes a prettier story if you say, well, I only started with $500,000. You know what $500,000 was in 1983? You know what $500,000 was in like 1994? At the beginning of the internet, where you could buy website names for $1? Anyway, yeah, the billionaires are running amok. You know, hopefully they only get richer. I mean, what else are they going to do buying up all the Bitcoin? So, yeah, he basically spoke about how amazing Bitcoin was, and he's expecting Bitcoin's price to go higher, while retail just still isn't here. What a day. I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I do hope you all are having a great day. Hope you're enjoying constantly hearing about all these companies and these institutions buying up as much Bitcoin as humanly possible. And I will be talking to you all soon. See you.